Sunday, and you know it, people. It's time to talk some National League football. We are an hour from kickoff, an exciting day. Look, I know everybody is looking forward to tonight's football game between, well, I don't know, maybe just the Tampa Bay Backers at this point here versus the New England Patriots. But we got a lot to get through here. Inactives are out. The card is ready. My plays are in. My props are in. Kyle, it's Sunday. This is what we do.
Dang right. Week 4, and I'm pretty excited. Yeah. Look, we talked about it all week. The lines were sharp this week, and the team totals were pretty sharp. I thought this week was a little bit more challenging than maybe some of the other weeks will be, but I've got, about 18 totals here. As promised, we have our favorite plays pinned on our Twitter. Got a prop for every game. It's the fastest hour in TV. Let's rock and roll.
No, let's have some fun today and really get after it. Now, our Pick 6 contest plays are in. We put those in on Thursday. And just to remind you guys how the week actually works, it's quick, man, because Sunday we do our closing line show, and right away we do a turnaround tomorrow to the opening lines and get you ready for a Monday Night Football game. I only have one team total play this week, but I got to say right now, I am eyeing up a really nice one for tomorrow night. So a nice teaser to join us for the opening line show tomorrow. But let's get into the major card today. And I almost got caught up saying the Major League Baseball card because there is some good playoff action, but I don't know who's actually watching outside of those teams' fans, Kyle. But today we got some good ones on the charts. How about the 1 o'clock game to open it up with? 251, 252. Heineke at quarterback today. Maybe a bounce back effort from last week with the Buffalo Bills going up against Atlanta and Matt Ryan. We're seeing some movement here this morning, Kyle. For most of the week, this was 1s and 1.5s. I'm seeing now the FanDuel Sportsbook here at -2.5, -106. Pinnacle at -2.5. And a lot of these numbers moving late here on a Sunday morning as we head into the afternoon. I've been the same way all week long. I do think the Washington football team wins this game. And it's not so much, Kyle, I love what they're doing because the defense has been bad. I just don't like anything that the Falcons do. They're slow on offense. They're not explosive. And I do think Washington has enough playmakers to take advantage of that today. What are your thoughts early on this Washington-Atlanta game today?
Yeah, I actually kind of agree with the line movement. If I was picking sides this week, part of my pick 6, I liked Washington 1.5. The 2, anything under a field goal here doesn't really scare you. What's the difference between 1.5 and 2.5? Not really a damn thing, right? So I don't mind that all that much. If you follow on Twitter, this is one of my team totals that I'm zeroed in on today. The Washington team total over 23.5 at -135. That's over at BetMGM. Look, this Falcons defense stinks. Terry McLaurin's going to have a terrific matchup on the outside with Fabian Moreau. They're getting Curtis Samuel back for his first game, which is going to be a big help to the offense. There's no pass rush to be concerned about with the Falcons. Heineke is going to have all day to throw. Antonio Gibson's going to play in this game. Has the Washington defense been underwhelming? Absolutely. I thought they would be much, much better than they have been. But there's nothing like playing an old washed-up Matt Ryan to make your defense look a lot better. I like Washington in this game, and I did throw some money on that Washington team total over 23.5 -135. And my prop play in this game, Terry McLaurin over 75.5 yards rushing or receiving, that's at -115. Bottom line, anyone that goes up against Fabian Moreau, who's giving it 0.45 fantasy points per out ran against, is in a good spot. I expect McLaurin to have a nice game today.
Yeah, I do expect Terry McLaurin to have a nice game, but it is nice to have Samuel back. We'll see how much he's used in this one because I know people get overexcited where you say, hey, our weapon that we signed, our big money guy over free agency, that doesn't mean he's going to play 75 snaps at an entire playbook and get back because he wasn't suspended. He was actually injured. So we'll see how they work him in. But also keep in mind, Antonio Gibson, he is active today, which there was a question about him coming into Sunday today, Kyle. Always nice to have a young, explosive running back as well. So Taylor Heineke can run. He's got some wheels. Antonio Gibson, presumably he's healthy and he's playing. He's got some wheels. McLaurin, we know, can get after it. And then also Curtis Samuel on the opposite side. I do think you're setting yourself up for a chance at points here for Washington. My only question about this one is, can Atlanta play that chaser in this game? Are they going to go 11 plays, 41 yards, and a 51-yard field goal try because they have nothing explosive on offense? Do I like Pitts as a tight end? Yeah, if they had a quarterback can actually hit him downfield. Do I like Calvin Ridley, wide receiver? Yes, I do. But again, do I have a quarterback that can hit him downfield to make big plays? Or is this just, oh, no, the pass rush is coming on top of me. Let me dump it out for a 4-yard play out of the backfield. We'll see what takes place in this game. But also a total look in this one. 47, a half across the board. Don't particularly like that either direction either. But as I said again, Kyle, Washington for me. Don't really like too many prop plays in this game, but I do. Like if you're looking for both sides, maybe a Calvin Ridley prop, I guess, and then maybe a McLaurin prop because everything else is a huge question mark to me. But that's why we go over all the games to see if we have anything that does make sense. Game 2, Goff, finally, versus Fields. My favorite part of this whole game is the fact that I don't know what goes on in Chicago. everybody know Andy Dalton was not playing this week. Everybody knew like Nick Foles was not playing this week. We all knew Justin Fields was playing. And a couple days ago, like, it's going to be a game time. No, we knew it was Justin Fields out here. And trust me, nobody on Detroit Lions coaching staff was saying, oh my God, let me get Foles playbook from 2017.
Yeah.
Let me take a look at Andy Dalton all the way back from when he was on the Bengals. And then let me take a look at Justin Fields. No, we knew Justin Fields was playing here. There's threes across the board, some 2.5s as well, Kyle. This cap was as simple as it got for me this week. If I can get 3, I'm taking it, and it's the Lions.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, after what you saw to Justin Fields, right, it's hard to back this team. Now, it does feel like a little bit of a trap, doesn't it? I couldn't wager on this game.
Yeah.
Everything inside of me says the Lions after what I saw. And look, the Lions, they're a winless team, but they're they haven't been as bad as we thought, right? They fought really hard. They had that furious comeback week 1 against the 49ers. Should have won last week. I mean, you lose to a team like Baltimore on a 66-yard field goal. It's bad luck here, but they haven't been as bad as advertised, right? And there's a lot of fight. I like the effort they put in. And look, that's a Jared Goff game, and I can't believe I'm saying it, but the Lions have the quarterback advantage here, don't they? I mean, who would you rather have right now? Now, maybe, next year, a couple of years down, Justin Fields will be lighting up the league. He certainly has the talent to do so. But right now, he's just not ready. Kind of reminds me a lot of when Dwayne Haskins was kind of thrown in there with Washington, just not enough. It just doesn't look ready. I thought he would be more NFL ready. But I lean the Lions here. I didn't touch anything on totals or a side on this one because it does feel like a little bit of a trap. It's hard to trust the Lions going into Chicago. The one prop I took Jared Goff over 6.5 yards rushing at -115. I mean, you're gonna have Khalil Mack screaming off the edge. All it takes is one little scramble for 7 yards, and you've won that prop. I thought the number was super low. Goff has some legs. They like to get him out of the pocket a little bit. I took Goff over 6.5 yards rushing, and that's about all I want to do with this game.
Yeah, how about this? Justin Fields' passer prop is a 187.5. So that tells you probably what we are expecting in this game out of his arm. Let me just take a look if we have any. And I'm just going to pull these up from Bet365 on the ones that I don't have just to keep it simple. So I have them all in the same area. Let's see. So Justin Fields is over 42.5 yards rushing in this game, which does make some sense, I guess. But after last week on those jailbreaks, maybe he does able to break some at home, but it's really a tough one. David Montgomery, 72.5 as a rushing prop, not a bad option either.
Yeah.
DeAndre Swift, 50.5 yards, not a bad option. But again, if you're looking for overs, team totals, DFS players, it's really not the game for you. I got to tell you very much, Kyle, right?
It's just to stay the hell away from this game.
Man.
This is the game you don't want to see on Red Zone when you're watching this morning.
Yeah.
You want to see some of that Vikings game. Some of the Vikings, some Washington, Atlanta, some Carolina, Dallas. Get this game off my screen.
No, certainly get the game off the screen here. Why don't we get to another interesting one? This line is dropping. And I it's the same thing I've been saying all week long as well. Like, we do shows all week long, and we're pretty plugged into the NFL. But the casual gambler that has his own 9-to-5 job, wife and the kids, can't pay attention that much. But we knew for a fact A.J. Brown was going to be out in this game. We knew for a fact Julio Jones was not playing in this game. So the whole shock and awe of when they announced they're like, oh my God, let me run to the window. I got to take the Jets. Well, the Jets are 5.5 at a lot of places now when you could have 7.5s and 8s earlier in the week, knowing that those two guys were never going to play for the Titans. So now it just seems like it's all lined up here, right? When you take a look for the Titans, it's either going to be King Henry or Ryan Tannehill rolling out and making some plays here, which is why I was targeting that under all week long. I just don't see very many points in this game from either direction. Now, the good thing here for the New York Jets is that you do have Zach Wilson, who has really struggled, but played 3 defenses that are much better than the Tennessee Titans, and gets Jamison Crowder back. He's going to have Davis on one side. So he does have at least a little, and I say a little bit more weapons. I don't trust him as far as I can throw him. Do I want to take Tennessee? No. Do I want to take the Jets? No. But I don't see big plays in this game. So I would take the under, even though it opened up at FanDuel, Kyle, 48.5 and sits at 44.5 today.
Yeah, I mean, and I do agree with that line movement. And look, we saw some things out of the young kid, Westbrook Ekine last week, and Ryan Tannehill's a good quarterback. It's not like he, can't get the ball down the field. Now, would you like to have Brown and Jones? Of course you would, but Derrick Henry should have a field day here. Earlier in the week, where I was hoping maybe we could have one of those two receivers play. It was really the A.J. Brown news. Once you knew he would, of course, Julio Jones isn't going to miss. This is the real Julio Jones. This is what we've been talking about. I mean, this doesn't surprise me one bit.
Yeah,
I still like the Titans in the first half. I did the first half -3.5 in the first half. I think that makes a ton of sense. I don't mind people taking the Titans here under a touchdown. Do I care who's hurt on the offensive side of the ball for the Titans? I don't. The Jets look so inept. have you seen anything out of the Jets that makes you think they can compete with anybody? It is an easier defense. So I went Tennessee first half. I didn't go as heavy as I thought I was going to earlier in the week just because of all the injuries you mentioned. There's some unknowns there. They are on the road. But no, right now it's Titans or bust. You can't back the Jets. I like the Titans in the first half. And my prop play for today, their number one wide receiver today is going to be Westbrook Akine, whatever, however the hell you say his name, over 35.5 receiving yards at minus 120. I mean, he should have that really early on. 5 catches last week after he replaced Julio Jones in the lineup. I expect them to get him the ball. I like what I saw out of him when I watched the tape. I like the separation. That Jets secondary stinks. Take the Titans first half, and I like that Westbrook prop of over 35.5 yards.
You know, it's interesting on this one, too. Derrick Henry, you're not getting any cheap prices here if you're going bargain shopping on some of the rushing props over at Bet365, 124.5. So you're going to need over 125 yards to cash in on that ticket. Here's an interesting one. Zach Wilson's rushing prop, he's a pretty athletic kid, 7.5. I think he can run for 10 yards in this game. And also keep in mind, if you don't think the Jets are going to win, you're not going to lose 5, 6, 7 yards on the final knee downs if that comes to fruition. So 7.5 isn't a bad look there from Zach. But again, one of those games where I don't have much, first 3 games that we're looking at, it's like, man, these are rough. But that's the way it's been for this entire card, which is why I only have one official play today. But I do have some prop bets that I like. Once they hit, I'll certainly let you guys know about those. Cleveland and Minnesota, very good game here. One's across the board as a favorite for the road team here. The Cleveland Browns going up against the Minnesota Vikings. 51.5 across the board as a total. I can see that also. 2 explosive running games. Dalvin Cook was on an interview, Kyle, this morning and said, yeah, I'm back today and expect the old me. So maybe a quick healer with that ankle injury, which we saw him in college running on torn hamstrings and gaining 200 yards a game for Jimbo Fisher in the Seminoles. So he is a quick healer and a tough character, and he should be playing today, and certainly from what he says, playing effectively. Now, we see Cleveland come in as a 1-point favorite. This is usually the spot that you like Minnesota. At home, Mike Zimmer, out of conference game. But I see it right down the line. I mean, you can make a case for both of these teams. If Minnesota plays, or Kirk Cousins plays like he's played for the Minnesota Vikings over the first 3 weeks, they are going to be live in this game. 2 really good wide receivers, good running back. The question is, can that defense hold up? So looking at the running game for the Cleveland Browns for myself, Kyle, one of the first wagers I put in, Nick Chubb, 100 yards and 1 touchdown today versus the Minnesota Vikings. That's at a plus at 320 clip. I posted them on Twitter, retweeted them a couple times this morning. But I do think there's the possibility of a big game in the running game for both of these teams. And I think Chubb should be able to eat. Hasn't hit the 100-yard marker yet this year, but 80 yards plus in every game. Today, I think he can get that 100 number and certainly score a touchdown. I'll take that price at the plus 320. But for the game itself, fascinating. -1s here.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun game. And look, I either team could win. It's a real 50-50 on the sides here. I want nothing to do with that. But what I do want something to do with is over at BetMGM, you can get the alternate team total. Vikings over 23.5. It's at -155. It's one of my favorite plays today. At home, you're going to have a running mate in Cleveland. This is not going to be a blowout. Cleveland's offense can score on this very bad Vikings defense. That secondary has been dreadful. Not great against the run either. You're bringing in 2 running backs. Kareem Hunt, very valuable. To me, I like Kareem Hunt in DFS this week more than Nick Chubb. I like the ability to catch the ball out of the backfield, and he's playing about the same number of snaps. But the Vikings should get to 24 points here. Do the Browns win 31-30? Maybe. Do the Vikings win 31-30? Maybe. For me, I want nothing to do with that. Vikings get to 24 points, which I expect them to do in the Dome, at home. Getting Dalvin Cook back is a huge boost, especially if he's 100% or close to 100% for that team total. So I love that Vikings team total over 23.5. And the prop I took in this game, it's a little bit obscure. I took Tyler Conklin, the tight end, to have over 30.5 yards receiving. The Browns allowing the 12th most fantasy points to opposing tight ends. 16 targets over the first 3 weeks, a huge game last week. I think Conklin getting to that 30.5, he does it pretty easily over the middle of the field. Remember, there is the young kid is not there. Irv Smith Jr., so Conklin's the main tight end there. So Vikings team total, official play for me today. And Conklin over 30.5 receiving yards, -110.
Yeah, we'll see. Conklin must have healed up during the week, too, because I know he's banged up with that elbow injury. Taking a look also at some running props in this game. Nick Chubb obviously leading the way on the Browns for 78.5. Kareem Hunt, 40.5. But Dalvin Cook at an 83.5 coming off an injury. We'll see how that one lines up. But keep in mind here, these are the ones that we try to think outside the box for me, Kyle. Dalvin Cook banged up with the ankle. Does that mean he's going to get 25 rushing attempts? I would probably say no. Could he? Sure, he can. But then you take a look at Alexander Madison, 15.5. So
That's
16 yards on the ground. He gets that total as an over. That's one to keep because he might not get the market share, but let's just say Dalvin Cook bangs up that ankle in the second quarter. That's 5 carries for Madison. If he can average 3 yards a carry on 5 carries, you're basically going to cash in that ticket. So one to keep an eye on. This is a good game, though. And a DFS guy, if you're targeting some players, this one, certainly see it. There's a lot of running backs to go around in this game, and certainly 2 quality wide receivers for the Vikings. And we'll see what we get out of Odell Beckham Jr. today. Coming back last week, getting back into the flow of things, full week of practice, his knee looks good. So we'll see if he's back up to his old antics here, running some deep routes and trying to be a big-time player in that game. Down to Miami we go, Kyle, 259-260. Indianapolis and Miami. Carson Wentz, Jacoby Brissett. Who would have thought that at the beginning of the season, or, in the offseason? Like, hey, by the way, Wentz is going to play up against Brissett here. Like, wait, what? What happened here? Well, here's what it is. 2.5s across the board. Wentz is healthier than he is last week. The Colts are not healthier than they were last week as a team overall, and that's a tough part. And sometimes when you just get injured, Kyle, in the NFL, your team stays injured, and it seems like Indianapolis is doing that. How about this total? 42.5, and I can see that. Where are the big plays coming from on both sides of the football? Like, Jacoby Brissett has a lot of weapons at wide receiver, but he's not a big-time quarterback. Like, he's not making those big-time 60-yard passes downfield. It more seems like he's a game manager, dink and dunk. I'll do enough to win the game, but don't ask me to do anything more and be spectacular quarterback. And then you took a look at the Colts offense, banged up now on the offensive line. Wide receivers, not big playability. Who's their best overall player coming in today? Maybe Nyheim Hines? That says a lot. 42.5. I'm probably leaning over in this one. Don't like the game per se, but boy, it's hard to take Indianapolis on the road to win a football game right now.
Yeah, exactly. You just got to stay the hell away from this game. It's too tough could either one of these teams. These are 2 very mediocre at best teams right now, both sort of going in the wrong direction. I will say Jonathan Taylor is interesting for me. If you're playing DFS, he's been injured all week, so he's got that Q by his name. People hate playing those guys, so they're always low owned. Let's not forget the Dolphins giving up the 2nd most fantasy points to opposing running backs. They absolutely cannot stop the run. I mean, even Peyton Barber ran wild on him. That is absolutely insane. If you're giving up, 100 yards to Peyton Barber, things have gone way, way wrong. So I would stay away from this game. I did take a prop in this game at -120. I took Nyheim Hines over 23.5 receiving yards. We're talking about a guy who's targeted 16 times over the first 3 weeks. No more Marlon Mack on that team. They've agreed to trade him. So when Jonathan Taylor, who's got a little bit of fluid in his knee, comes out of the game, it's no more Marlon Mack. It's Nyheim Hines. I think he gets to that 23.5 relatively easily, especially with that still no T.Y. Hilton there. And that, I mean, I don't have a team total in this game. I don't like that. Do I feel comfortable picking a side? Absolutely not. I mean, if you want to sprinkle some on the home team minus a field goal, I get it. That, that's sort of like the common thing to do. But for me, it's a stay away game. I just like that Nyheim Hines prop. And Jonathan Taylor on DFS, again, he's going to be lower owned because he's got that questionable by his name. Yeah. So less people will play him. He has a big game that could send you to the top of your DFS lineups.
Yeah, taking a look at some numbers today. 25.5 for Nyheim Hines on the ground. Jonathan Taylor, 73.5 in this one. Jacoby Brissett, 16.5. Malcolm Brown, 23.5. And Myles Gaskins, 50.5. Just some rushing props that are listed here. But I see the common theme so far, Kyle. Like, look at the games we've seen. And this is only week 4 in the NFL. And I don't know if it's, from off season of these guys don't feel like practicing anymore. And now you just get to the regular season. It's like, hey, hurry up, go full speed. And everybody is getting injured. But look at the games that we just previewed. Outside of Washington, which doesn't have a lot of injury information, but maybe a slower tempo game, so to speak. Detroit, Chicago, Tennessee, the Jets, Cleveland and Minnesota. A lot of question marks here and who's coming in particularly as well with Indianapolis. But I do think Carson Wentz will be better than he was last week because looks like he could barely stand up, but gutted the performance out. And quite frankly, they were in that game, but just the MO, I guess, of Carson Wentz. You're in it, Kyle, but can you start to win some of these football games? I'm not going to put my money on it either way. Carolina and Dallas here. Looks like the lines opened up, 4.5. We're seeing 4.5s across the board right now, still roughly about 40 minutes out from kickoff here. 51.5 is a total. This also, if you look at the FanDuel Sportsbook, Kyle, 48.5 they opened up at. Now is 51.5 on game day. Offshore Pinnacle, they opened up at 50, now 51.5. So covering that across the board. Dallas has a really good offense. How good is that Carolina defense? They'll get tested today. A little bit banged up at the cornerback position. Made a trade for a cornerback. But obviously the big news is that your all-world running back, Christian McCaffrey, is not going to get to the starting line today. So everybody, I guess, lining up on Chuba Hubbard in this game, trying to get that DFS value because he's probably going to get the market share. This game is going to be on Sam Darnold's shoulders. And I don't, again, like the 51.5, I can see it because Dallas is very good on offense. But is Sam Darnold just dropping back and just ripping it all over the field, and that's what we're going to do today?
It's hard for me to. If Christian McCaffrey was healthy, I would be taking the points with Carolina right now.
Yeah.
But without Christian McCaffrey, that offense is DJ Moore or nothing. The problem with that today, Trevon Diggs has been playing very, very good. And when you watch him on tape, his coverage is sensational. Yeah. Now he's going to be shadowing DJ Moore. They trade away Dan Arnold for the corner, who Sam Darnold was having a fairly decent rapport with. So now they're going to have to rely on Robbie Anderson, who Sam Darnold has shown no appetite to throw the ball to. So it's a little tough for me to trust Carolina right here. I want to, but for me, it has to be Dallas. It's Dallas or bust here. I like that offense has obviously been sensational. Pollard adding that 1-2 punch in the backfield with Zeke Elliott. Of course, just have the two great wide receivers. They're using two tight ends really effectively here. I did have a little bit of interest on that Cowboys team total over 26.5 at -155 at BetMGM. I do think they get to 28 points. The problem with that total is I'm not sure where the offense is coming from for Carolina now. Is Chuba Hubbard going to be ready to come in there and replace Christian McCaffrey? Not so much. If you watched when he came out last week, it wasn't pretty and doesn't have the same kind of hands, the power, or the speed. It's not there. Can't back Carolina without their best player. I'll take the Cowboys here -4.5, but the number I prefer is that team total over 26.5. And for my prop on this one, I apologize. Tony Pollard over 35.5 yards rushing at -110.
Yeah,
35.5 for Tony
Pollard.
He's
33.5 at Bet 365, which I look at that now. It's going to be sooner or later, Kyle. Those numbers are going to be long gone because if you say right now coming into the game, Pollard's going to get 8 carries, he's going over the 33.5. Charles Devereaux says, Donnie, please consider 11 a.m. Eastern start to the show on Sundays. Need time to get those gems you and Kyle offer up. Well, the good thing this year is we put these out way in advance. Just follow us on Twitter. They're already pinned. I put my prop bets out. The one I followed Miles Sanders on Wednesday, that was up for Twitter. That has also been sent multiple times this morning. And my only team total of the week, which we'll get to, I posted that on Thursday's show. So we give these out way before so we can come on the show this year, have fun the entire way. If anything looks good, we can add on. But our premium plays, as we like to say, the ones we've already fired on, you have days and days in advance to get those same numbers that we get. And quite frankly, most of those numbers that we fire on would still be available at multiple sports books. But we never do because you see a lot of the times like, hey, Sunday, I'm going to give you my best play. Well, I like the Eagles. I got them at 16.5. Well, I got it Monday, but I'm telling you on Sunday that what the price is. No, we don't do that. We post it when we get it right on Twitter and put it up there. So you guys can check it out and, filter around Twitter and have some fun with that stuff.
Macedonia in the house. That's the first time I've ever seen a hello from Macedonia.
Look at Darko.
Love that. That's what's up.
Darko. All right. Yeah. Darko Milicic, Darko Tripanovsky. There we go. Love it, man. Love it. Donnie Darko. Yeah, you can do a lot of that stuff out here. So major things. Let's keep moving down the list as we go. But again, on this game with Dallas, I do think Dallas is the better team. It would have been a very interesting game if Christian McCaffrey was playing, which obviously we know he isn't. You do have some wide receivers that can do some damage against Dallas if their offensive line holds up, but I'm just not buying it just yet. Like Carolina wins this game, they're 4-0, which would be incredible stuff. New York Giants and the New Orleans Saints, first game back in the Dome for New Orleans as a home game, 7s across the board. Not a lot to like if you're the New York Giants. You're trying to back them today. Sterling Shepard down, Darius Slayton down, which leaves you with Kenny Golladay at wide receiver, who's a good wideout, but hasn't really shown up yet for the New York Giants. And we'll see how healthy he is and how many snaps that he gets in this game. Saquon Barkley, same thing. Look, you can be the best unless you're Barry Sanders for the Detroit Lions, where when you snap the ball, all 5 linemen are in the backfield immediately, and he jukes 7 of them and has the best 3-yard run in NFL history. That's what you get. And that's what you're getting out of the team today for the New York Giants. That is a bad offensive line under adverse conditions in a dome where you're not going to be able to hear the snap count. So good luck to Saquon Barkley and the Giants this one trying to score. But having said that, do I necessarily want to lay the 7 here with New Orleans? I'm just going to say I'll lay the 7 before I take the 7 with the Giants. Daniel Jones is actually having a decent year statistically, but where are his weapons in the dome today? What's going to happen to the pass rush of the New Orleans Saints when they can get off the ball and the Giants have to go in soft counts? Because your advantage as a quarterback and an offensive line is changing the snap count and hard counts, which you can't do in the dome. So that's going to be a big-time issue. I don't see very many points in this game either. 41.5 to 42s across the board. It's ridiculous for an NFL game. But where are the big plays coming here? Jamie Switzer, what's he going to throw for Kyle? $125?
Yeah, exactly. And it's just so, and hopefully 34 of that goes to Alvin Kamara, because that's my prop in this game, over 33.5 receiving yards. It's just kind of low to get that for Kamara. And why isn't Winston throwing to him more? He has been targeted 14 times the first 3 weeks. need to get those targets up to Kamara.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't keep coming out here throwing to Deontay Harris and Marquez Callaway. I mean, just knock it off. Get the ball into Alvin Kamara's hands and go. Look, I'm not laying. We've seen the Saints, a real Jekyll and Hyde team, right? The New Orleans Saints here. There's no way I'm laying over a touchdown, even though I don't like anything about the Giants. I will say I was really close to taking some real pain today and taking the over 16.5 team total for the Giants at -115. I was so damn close. I have it written down here. It's got a circle around it. If you're looking for some pain, that one's kind of interesting to me. I mean, it's only 17 points now. The Saints defense is very good. They're fifth. They've allowed the fifth fewest.
We got to start that up next week, by the way, Kyle. We got to start that. That's got to become part of our show again. So
we got to bring the pain back. And I almost took some pain, and I got another pain one coming up too. But Giants team total 16.5. I thought about. If you're going to bet the Saints, do the first half and get that number under a touchdown. I do expect them to be up by a touchdown at the half. I'd much rather be holding that bag, -4, 4.5 in the first half than 7.5 for the full game. I just don't want to lay more than a touchdown with the Saints because they're just so up and down, and they're good one week and bad the other week, and there's a lot of weird stuff with them. Prop, of course, reminder, Alvin Kamara over 33.5 receiving yards at -110.
Rushing props in this game to keep an eye on. Saquon Barkley, 51.5. Daniel Jones, 27.5. Taysom Hill, 14.5. Tony Jones Jr. at 16.5. Alvin Kamara, 75.5. And Jameis Winston at 12.5. So some things to try to take a look at in that one here. And now let's get to the city of brotherly love. Kansas City and Philadelphia. Mahomes versus Hurts in this game. Big news of the day coming out. Lane Johnson out of nowhere. Right at the inactive time. Yeah, by the way, he's going to miss. So I wonder if the Eagles have known that for days, which is ridiculous. But the simple fact is the Eagles now, from day one NFL, game one versus Atlanta. Oh, man, that offensive line looks really good. Yeah, they're down 4/5 of their starting offensive line. So, yeah, me lined up on Miles Sanders props at 55.5. Still think he can get there. Doesn't help Lane Johnson is going to play today. I also have that one prop, which I love, and I posted as well on Twitter. Hurts and Mahomes, 1 touchdown passing apiece in both halves. That pays plus 390. So the tougher one, I guess we would say, Kyle, would be not for Mahomes to throw 1 in each half, probably Jalen Hurts. So if you stand up at your desk, if Jalen Hurts throws a first half touchdown, you're in business in this one. It should be some fun to watch out. I still think there's points. Keep in mind, I'm not too far away from the stadium. You want to talk about, if you said to me, Donnie, I know you're a team total better and an over guy. What conditions would you like? What are the best conditions? They are exactly what it is in Philadelphia. Not a whisper of wind blowing in the air. 72, 73 degrees, sunny skies, no precipitation. Scoring conditions here, which again could be bad for the Philadelphia Eagles because Patrick Mahomes and that electric Andy Reid offense is coming to town. I do still see points in this one, but it doesn't help that Lane Johnson's down at right tackle for me when a lot of these props are hinging on the Eagles offense to move forward. And also my team total, the only team total that I played this week, Philadelphia Eagles over 21.5 at -140. So that's what I'm rooting on, Kyle. What do you got today in this game?
I mean, I have that one written down, and then I just keep getting more and more scared. It feels like if they get to that team total, it's going to have to be late in junk time. Now we know the Chiefs don't cover spreads, right? I think everyone who's been betting for at least the last year and a half certainly knows the Chiefs have not been covering spreads. So they are a terrific teaser option this week. It's hard to imagine them losing 3 games in a row. When you watch this Eagles defense on tape against a real offense, you realize what I said last week is true. The defensive numbers are inflated because of the bad teams they have played. When they played a real offense, they looked absolutely dreadful. And trust me, they're getting a real offense today, and they're getting a pissed off offense today, a desperate team who needs to win. We're talking about a last place Chiefs team in the AFC West. It's absolutely incredible. I do expect the Chiefs to beat the brakes off them today. Am I going to lay that amount of points with the Chiefs? No, I won't. I'll take a first half, or I will tease them down. Chiefs win this game. My prop for this one, Patrick Mahomes over 2.5 passing touchdowns at -120. I expect a lot of points in this game from Kansas City. Their team total is a little bit pumped up, so I couldn't touch it. But nice teaser spot, and you can take the Chiefs first half. I think that's a much safer play.
Elliot V says, take that written down pick and place it on the dartboard with the smiley face, Kyle. Put that, just the Jason Radowitz tweet. He said that means that Kyle actually placed this wager, and that's what he's doing with the show today on this one. But there's some good stuff in this. Like, if you want props across the board, You're not getting any cheapies here with Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes. But when you look at some of these props, which keep in mind, like the FanDuel Sportsbook just started doing match props. They have like 4 different levels of them. One's like plus 100 to plus 400, all the way up to like 20 to 1. Some of them you say, this is ridiculous, I would never bet it. But every once in a while, these things creep in and say, now, wait a second. This looks like a lottery ticket that I don't have to get a lottery type of situation to hit any of those. Like, Patrick Mahomes over 300 yards and, Travis Kelce over 100 yards and a touchdown. He said, no, wait, that's doable here. Same thing with Tyreek Hill. Mahomes over 300 yards. Tyreek Hill over 100 yards and a touchdown. Like, 4 to 5 to 1 tickets where you figure that could be done. As I said, again, it is perfect conditions in Philadelphia. You saw that defense last week, the Eagles going up against a not as explosive Dallas offense. Now, Andy Reid and Kansas City coming to town on a perfect day in Philadelphia on a fast track. You should be able to get some numbers here. Now, this line, as we say, Kyle, moving around during the week, 6.5, 7s, 7.5. So it looks like we're probably going to settle on that 7 number at 53.5. If I had to play the game, again, the books have been doing so well, Kyle, with Kansas City, because you look at these games and be like, I'm not taking Philadelphia, because when you take a look at NFL lines, it's not 17.5. It's not 25. Well, there is one actually 17.5 today. So bad one. It's not 30 points. So when you're looking at Kansas City to cover, the other team is hanging around and keeping it close, even though it looks like Kansas City is so easy today, Kyle.
Yeah, they just don't cover spreads. I mean, what are they, like 2-12, 2-13 the last 15 games? Because they're always valued high, and they find a way to keep it close because that defense is bad. I mean, the defense for Kansas City is really, really bad, which is excellent for your team total. It's one of the worst defenses in the league. We just see them fall apart. Their pass rush isn't there. They can't stop the run. They can't stop the pass. They're going to give up points. Oh, and their offense is so paced that the other team's going to get the ball a lot as well. So yeah, you just can't trust them there. That's why maybe the first half, get that number under a touchdown, or you can use this as a teaser option. I do think the Chiefs win. I'm just not going to be holding the bag with a 7 or a 7.5 when they just haven't proven they can cover a spread.
Yeah, we'll see what happens in game here. See how quickly they come out. And by the way, I was already talking about a line. Get these numbers. DraftKings now just flashed a minus 19 on the Buffalo Bills against Houston. Now, in the Pick 6 contest this week, I took the 16, and I think Buffalo is going to detonate this football team. Again, if Buffalo can wipe the field with like the Miami Dolphins by 35 points and Washington by 20, which seemed like it was so much further than that, but, letting them get some extra, points late in that game, Buffalo is going to be on a rampage today. The only question is, how long are these players going to be in the game, and do they care? But I always like to boil it down to this. When you're taking a look, let's just say the Philadelphia Eagles with the Kansas City Chiefs. Eagles are down, 21 points with 3 minutes to go. I say, the Eagles can probably score in the last 3 minutes, meaningless score of a touchdown. Maybe you need the team total or whatever you need, a total for the game. They can get it done. I look at this game between Houston and Buffalo and say, Davis Mills, the points, I don't know where they're coming. The first downs, I have no idea where they're coming. So I don't know. And I know people say, like, I always joke about my dad would be like, he'll look at this game like, that's too many points. And I say to myself, that usually is the case. But when I look at this, where are the first down? Is 10 first downs a lot for Houston today, Kyle?
Yeah. God. Look, for me, I have a golden rule. When I see spreads like this, the only way I'm betting them is if I can take the points for the underdog. And I got to be able to talk myself into that scenario that they can be within a touchdown, maybe win this game. None of that flashes across my mind when you look at Houston. Davis Mills, I mean, we talked about Justin Fields not being ready. My God, this poor kid is not ready. And now, I mean, your one weapon, the one shining spot you have on offense, Brandon Cooks, is going to be shadowed by Tre'Davious White, who might be the best cover corner, one of the top 3, certainly cover corners, man-to-man in the league. Tough sledding for Houston today. I won't touch this game with a 10-foot pole. I do have some Josh. I just won't. Like,
I want to bet it. I want to bet Buffalo just because I keep saying Buffalo's going to hammer them, and I think I might need to place a wager on the Bills in this one.
Oh my God, it's just too nerve-wracking for me. The Texans kick a field goal, and Buffalo's offense sputters a little bit because they're overlooking this team, and the next thing you know, they're only up 14-3, and a fumbled punt, it just makes me nervous. I did take a lot of Josh Allen in DFS. He should have a nice game here. That's my favorite prop in this game as well. I took a Josh Allen anytime touchdown. That's at plus 110. Look, he's their running game in the red zone, so I think he can score a touchdown today. Buffalo should beat the hell out of him. Am I going to bet? I love Houston, a live dog today. I don't think so. Now, if Houston comes out and wins this game, okay, there you go. But right now, you can't touch it. You can't make the argument that Houston can cover anything against this Bills team, so I'm staying the hell away. Allen anytime touchdown. This is a prop game or a live betting situation for me.
Yeah, and also you take a look, possible light rain to rain in this game in the
Mhm.
afternoon. But it is on turf, so it's not going to make for bad conditions. But when you say like, oh, that usually keeps the dog in it, maybe it makes it worse for Davis Mills. I don't know, but I'm not expecting big things either way out of the Houston Texans today. Over under in that game is 47.5, Kyle. And I love the under in that game because not just what we say, Buffalo's going to blow them out. Yeah, like 35-3 type style is what I certainly feel in this game. It almost has that same feel. Remember, we talked about the Jets last week. Like, no, wait a second. The Jets get the 10 points. That is going to be a miracle. Yeah, well, you could have cut the 1 off there and just added the 0. That's what the Jets got last week. It feels a lot like that one to me. 4 o'clock games, and there's some really good 4 o'clock games today. 269, 270, Arizona and the Los Angeles Rams. Now, in this one here, I also took a prop bet. Don't have a side in this one, but we opened the week, Kyle, on Monday when we have our opening line show here on sportsbookreview.com. And I think the both of us were in agreement saying, now, I do think the Rams win this game, but that 6 seems a little bit steep here. Well, now look at game day, Kyle. 3.5 across the board. A much more palatable number here if you're looking to take the Rams, a comfortable number. I think this is going to be a fantastic football game. 54.5 across the board. My second prop that I took this week on those, match props here at the FanDuel Sportsbook, Matthew Stafford and Kyler Murray each to throw 1 touchdown or more in each half. So in layman's terms, Stafford and Murray, 1 touchdown apiece in the first half. Stafford and Murray, 1 touchdown apiece in the second half. That pays $460. That's a plus $460 ticket. Not plus 125, not plus 150, almost 5-1 this one pays back. I jumped on that one. What are you looking at today in this game between Arizona and the Rams?
Yeah, this is early in the week. The Cardinals team total was one that jumped off the page to me and get over 23.5 at minus 155. So I like that quite a bit. I think the Cardinals can hang in this game. They're certainly one of the better underdogs on the card today. The problem is that Rams offense is humming. And when you compare these two defenses, the Cardinals defense to the Rams defense, it's not even close. The Rams defense is exponentially better than the Cardinals defense. I do think both teams can score here. But now that this line early in the week at 6, I'm taking the Cardinals. I'm taking those points. 3.5 now. Got to feel pretty good about the Rams being able to cover that. I do like the Rams in this game. But for me, the bet that I placed a small little wager on it, that Cards team total over 23.5 minus 155. I think the mobility of Kyler Murray gives that defensive line a little bit of trouble. Of course, some of those quick weapons, the Rondale Moores, the Hopkins, etc., should be able to get open today. So I do think the Cardinals can keep it close enough, but I'm not sure they keep it within 4. So I'll take the Rams on the side, but I love that Cardinals team total over 23.5. And my prop on this one, if you follow us on Twitter, it's the prop of the weekend. It's a little bit obscure, but our boy Max Williams, the tight end for Arizona, playing 77% of the snaps. 10 targets over the last 2 weeks has converted that into 21 DraftKings points. His receiving totals over 18.5 at minus 110. I absolutely love that. And the Rams, for the record, giving up the 9th most fantasy points to opposing tight ends. Expect Max Williams to be involved in the offense today in the middle of the field with Ramsey, etc., with Ramsey and Williams trying to take away those outside weapons. Rams should cover. I like the Cardinals team total and the Max Williams receiving prop.
Yeah, I do. I think they're legitimate here. And take a look. It's a 54.5 is what you're looking at as a total. Look at some of these running back props. James Conner, 30.5. Chase Edmond, 36.5. Kyler Murray, 33.5. Darrell Henderson, who's really banged up, he leads the way at 50.5 in that game. And then Sony Michel, 35.5. And Robert Woods at wide receiver, actually listed at 5.5. Maybe looking at one of those jet sweeps that some of these teams really like to put in. So some low rushing props, which means there's going to be a lot of eating at the wide receiver position this weekend, but I don't have a play necessarily in that game, but I did place that match bet with Stafford and Murray at plus 460, rooting that one on as well. Seattle and San Francisco, this cap was easy for me as well coming into the day, similar to what I was looking at Detroit. Again, not to say this would cash in, but if you can get the 3 points here with Seattle, that would be the play for me to go. Looks like, and we don't know officially yet. Tyler Lockett looks like he's going to give it a go today. DK Metcalf is cleared. Chris Carson is cleared. Russell Wilson is there. Jimmy Garoppolo is going to have his all-world tight end, but from a guy who didn't practice all week long, we know quick twitch muscles like a calf, they can go at any time, and that will be a devastating blow. Who's going to show up at running back? We'll see for the San Francisco 49ers, but I like Seattle with the 3 points in this game if you can get it. Over under 52.5. It makes sense because can both of these offenses score? Yeah. I trust Seattle a little bit more in that end of it, Kyle. What are you looking at here between your hometown Niners out there?
Oh, man. Well, it's a little bit of a bummer because I'm with you and I got to take the Seahawks. And nothing makes me more ill than when the Seahawks beat the 49ers. It's despicable. But look, The injuries are starting to pile up, especially in that secondary. Who is going to stop DK Metcalf? Who is going to start Tyler Lockett as he gives it a go? And really, I just don't know. Lemon Door and Josh Norman is injured. Kittle, you mentioned it, banged up all week. I didn't really like what I saw to Trey Sermon last week. If he's getting the bulk of the carries, I didn't see anything special or explosive about that. I got to tell you, I thought the 49ers team total was a little high. I paid the juice to get it to 29.5, but you've probably never heard me say this on a show. I think I said it once this baseball season for the Rockies, and we got lucky in that hit. But I took the 49ers under 29.5 points at minus 165. I just don't think they get to 30 points. I don't like how Garoppolo looks. Do the Seahawks have some holes in their defense? Absolutely. But the 49ers, if they can't get to Russell Wilson, and we know how Russell Wilson can get away from the pass rush, if he's running around and tiring out that defensive line, there is no one in that secondary who can stop these wide receivers. I like the Seahawks this week, even though it's on the road in San Francisco. It hurts a little bit. After this loss, the 49ers will be 1-9 in their last 10 home games.
All right. How about this, too? Sports, obviously, with SBR here on our YouTube channel, 90,000 subscribers we had on Friday. We're now up to 90,200 subscribers. So thank you guys for clicking those buttons out there. If you're watching the show live, you haven't hit that subscribe button. That's all we ask. We don't ask for any money or anything like that. Just hit the subscribe button, turn the notification bell on when we go live on Sundays. Oh, I forgot they're going live. Oh, look, here's my phone telling me I got to get in there and yell at Donnie and Kyle or praise them or, yes, yell at them if the picks don't go well. We love all the support that you guys give us. So certainly thanks for doing that and pumping us up on our way to 100,000. Next game up on the docket, 425. I had this game circled during the week, Baltimore and Denver. And I still have in my pick six contest here with Denver at a pick 'em. They're now actually swung back here. They were +1 this morning. Now they swung to -1. They're down 2 of their offensive line starters. Both guards are going to miss this football game for the Denver Broncos. Teddy Bridgewater has been fantastic so far. That is a tough environment to go in and win. And this isn't your old school Baltimore Ravens team that was your 13-3s, throughout the season and dominating and Lamar Jackson, your MVP. Still a good football team, but I like Denver in this game, but I was trying to find a way to take them on the team total. But you need a lot of conditions to be correct. It's not a high number that we're looking at in the low 20s, but at the same time, when you have a game, I like to have all the facilities in order. They said, well, Donnie took the Philadelphia Eagles today. I didn't expect a last-minute call-out by Lane Johnson to get to the 21.5. We'll see if that plays out. But I just missed a perfect scenario. But I do think Denver wins this football game. 45.5 is a total also in this one.
Yeah, for me, I'm just going to go with a long-time trend of mine. I'm going to sell high on Denver and buy low on Baltimore. Baltimore hasn't looked good. Obviously, Denver's undefeated. The problem is, yes, sorry, Eric, the Bengals did not cover in the first half. Very, very frustrating. But look, it's simply Denver. Everyone that Denver's beaten has not won a game. Their combined record of their opponents is 0-9. So do we know how good they really are? Not really. And Baltimore, look, Lamar Jackson in the back. We know the running back issues. They're activating Le'Veon Bell, so that tells you the problems they're having in their backfield here. This game's really, really tough. Either one of these teams can win this game. I don't think there's a lot separating these two teams. I do like the advantage being at home in Mile High with the fans for Denver. But for me, it's just a long-standing tradition when everyone's real down on Baltimore after looking dreadful against Detroit. Everyone's real high on Denver after starting undefeated and beating everybody soundly. So I'll just buy low on Baltimore, take the point there. My prop in this one, I took Bridgewater over 12.5 rushing yards. I know he's not the fastest quarterback in the league, but he does use his legs to get first downs. I think he gets to 13 rushing yards as well.
Teddy B. All right, here, next game up, Pittsburgh and Green Bay. We do get some information in here that Chase Claypool is going to miss this game. Oh, and no more jump ball. So that is what, Kyle? 80% of the offense that has just been taken away from Ben Roethlisberger where, oh, my God, nobody's open. Jump ball, Claypool. No, not going to be there today. Deontay Johnson coming back in this one, also maybe leaning on the ground game. But this is a dead Pittsburgh team to me, which sometimes is when they like to rise up. But I do have a steadfast rule in 2020 and 2021. Do not back the Steelers. It's so enticing. I know people, it's so enticing. Wait a second. Steelers getting close to a touchdown here. Maybe some weather conditions. Their defense can rise up. Their offense can grind out a victory. Didn't you see them, Kyle, opening day, get outplayed by Amayo and still come away with a victory over the Buffalo Bills? They can do it again. I'm not falling for that trap. I don't fall for this trap. I don't want anything to do with team totals here from the Pittsburgh Steelers. But having said that, do you want the Green Bay Packers here at a 6 to 6.5 at home? Well, the one thing I do know is I don't want the Steelers at a +6.5 in Lambeau.
Yeah, I think you still would have to lean the Packers here. And let's not forget, the Packers are so much better at home. Aaron Rodgers over his career, 50-50 on the road, something like 82% at home. So if it's under a touchdown, I like it. This is a nice teaser
Mhm.
spot too, if you want to just get this down to 1.5, and make it part of your teaser. Now let's talk about a little bit of pain here. The Steelers over 16.5, -165. Doesn't entice you a little bit? You don't want to take a sprinkle on 17 points in Lambeau Field for the Steelers? I thought about it. I wrote it down.
Mm.
I looked at it. Which one do you like more? The Packers team total over 24.5, -130, or the Steelers over 16.5, 165?
God, Jesus. They're pulling me back in. They're
I
pulling me
know, I
back
know,
in.
I know it. I'm telling you, I'm
Oh,
looking at it and it's enticing.
God.
I didn't do it. My prop on this one is Rodgers over 22.5 completions, -125. Pittsburgh is pretty effective against the
Damn.
run. Their secondary has been beatable, so it's not like this is an unbeatable secondary here. They've allowed the seventh most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers has been allowed by the Pittsburgh Steelers. So that vaunted secondary, it really hasn't been the case. Expect Rodgers to have a good game, get to 23 completions. I would take them under a touchdown right now. You're right. You can't back the Steelers. And if you want to bet the Steelers or you're a Steelers fan, you just want to root for them, that team total over 16.5 at BetMGM is staring you right in the face. It's really enticing.
Yeah, let me take a look here. Let's bring up some player receiving yards in this game because I just want to see, like, with those guys out, what actually measures up. And boy, there's a lot of props on here. All right, let's get the Packers Steelers. All right, Ebron 14.5, Fryermuth 24.5, Najee Harris 38.5, Deontay Johnson 62.5, Juju Smith Schuster 54.5, James Washington 26.5. Which seems low. How about this? Devontae Adams, 93.5, and then
Yeah.
basically nobody else. So if you can find, because you're looking at Valdez Scantling not playing in this game, right? So now you say Devontae Adams is going to get the market share. But Kyle, is there value down the card here? Because everybody's depressed. Cobb, 21.5. A.J. Dillon, 6.5. Aaron Jones, 19.5. Lazard, 29.5. Mercedes Lewis, 5.5. Robert Tonyan, 28.5. Somebody has to pick up the slack, right?
I think Alan Lazard's number is interesting. And the other one you
Yeah.
mentioned on the other side, Najee Harris, you said 38.5. Dude had 19 targets in the passing game last year.
19 targets, man.
19 damn targets for a running back is absolutely insane. I've never
He
seen it
plays every
before.
down.
He
Yeah.
plays every single down. So
Yeah.
there's some value there on the Pittsburgh side with the Najee Harris receiving prop for sure.
Oh my goodness, man. You're right though. As soon as you say 16.5, like the antennas just start to grow. I'm like, now wait a second. You want me to take this? So yes, next week we'll make sure to start including some pain plays here, like a pain pack of 5. Like, dude, don't go near this game. No, I'm gonna go near this game and put a little bit of scratch down because I want that pain here on a Sunday. Now, nightcap tonight, right? Tampa Bay, New England. Everybody and their grandmother is running to take Tampa Bay. So when I say that, it was 7 all week. It's 6.5 here on Sunday. Everybody is betting one way. The line is going lower. Now, look, you want to take that into a case. Who's the public betting? I get it.
Yeah.
But when I look at this game overall, like Rob Gronkowski's not going to be there. Is that a devastating loss? No, it's not a devastating loss because last week you had Gronkowski and lost. You didn't have Antonio Brown. Now you get Antonio Brown back. You got that 3-wheel motion out at wide receiver, which, hey, New England's got a pretty good defense. Don't get me wrong, but it's still Tom Brady. I don't see, Kyle, where Mac Jones steps into this game and says, I'm going to outplay Tom Brady and beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I'm not in the business of saying, because if you're getting 6.5, do you ever go into a cap, Kyle, and say, I don't think I can win the game, but I think I can keep it close? You will lose 90% of the time with that thought process.
Yep.
You have to come into this game, Kyle, and say in the fourth quarter, this is going to be 24-24, and I'll take my chances with New England. I don't see it.
No, and look, their only hope is that Mac Jones can let it fly. Look, they're not going to have Nelson Aguilar, so it's Jacoby Myers and maybe N'Keal Harry sees the field, does something. And look, the Tampa Bay secondary is beatable this week. You're going to be throwing guys out here like D. Delaney will be replacing Jamel Dean. D. Delaney giving up 0.41 fantasy points per route run against Ross Cockrell in the slot, over half a point. Carlton Davis has been absolutely torched, and he's supposed to be their best player in the secondary. So there's certainly weaknesses in that secondary, but now we're talking about New England. Brady coming back. Oh yeah, no James White now in that for that passing game of New England, the short passing game to sort of get the ball out of the pocket, because we know what they're going to do. We know what Tampa Bay and Todd Bowles are going to do. They're going to blitz the hell out of this kid. It might be a little bit wet out there. Tom Brady's coming in hot. That offense should torch that secondary. It's my play of the day. It's actually a side. I took the Bucs -3.5 in the first half. That's at -120. I think Tom Brady comes out hot. It won't shock me if they're up by 2 touchdowns at the half. The weakness of Tampa Bay is that passing defense in the secondary, and I just don't know that the weapons of New England can take advantage of that enough. I got the Bucs here, and my prop play is Leonard Fournette over 26.5 yards receiving. Giovanni Bernard will not be playing in this game. So now the receiving back for the Buccaneers reverts back to Leonard Fournette. He's going to get the ball on the ground and through the air. I think he gets to 26.5 receiving yards relatively easily. And no, the Gronk injury doesn't concern me all that much because Cameron Brate's an effective red zone tight end as well. We've seen Cameron Brate do some good things. He's a nice receiving tight end. You might lose a little bit in the run blocking. Gronk's a great run blocker. But no, the Bucs get it done here under a touchdown in the first half, -3.5. I think they get it done. It's my favorite play of the entire day.
Nelson Aguilar, 42.5 receiving prop. Brandon Bolden, 10.5. Kendrick Bourne, 25.5. Damian Harris, 8.5. Hunter Henry, 29.5. Jacoby Myers, 64.5. And Jonnu Smith, 26.5. So all of those technically depressed numbers. You're not just going to run your head, into a brick wall and continue to run against Tampa Bay's defense. Somebody has to throw the football and catch the football. So we'll see if that plays out. About 10 minutes left in the show, so we made good times here, Kyle.
I did misspeak, by the way. Nelson Aguilar is playing. My apologies. He is playing in this game. I don't know why I said that.
42.5. I looked early in the week, as I said, maybe if that's one of those guys under 50 yards where maybe you're losing late, he can pick up some receptions. I do believe that. Let's recap today of what we have and what we've bet this week. Obviously, for myself, the Philadelphia Eagles team total over 20.5 -140 is the only team total that I have today. Boy, I usually like to have at least 3 plays, but if they're just not there, people, I'm just not going to bet. Maybe next week we open up, in the opening lines tomorrow. I'm like, whoa. Like, I'm ready to get involved in this. But this week, there was a couple things that I liked, but some really overinflated prices where, I'm sorry, I'm not dipping into 33.5 with the Buffalo Bills. I'm not doing that stuff, yo. I'm going to look for some numbers in that 24 less range. That's the one I came up with. Also, on Twitter, put these out multiple times. Nick Chubb, 100 yards and to score 1 touchdown or more at +320. Hurts and Mahomes each to have a touchdown pass in each half or more. That's +390. Miles Sanders rushing prop over 55.5 at -114. And also Matthew Stafford and Kyler Murray, 1 touchdown throwing apiece in both halves. That one is at +460. So I'm enjoying my Sunday, a little bit of money on the table, having some fun. Where are you at here, Kyle, on your wagers?
We're going to go that Washington team total over 23.5 -135. We're also going to take that Vikings team total. Again, these are at BetMGM, so don't tell me you can't get them because you can get the damn things. They're just over at BetMGM. Vikings team total over 23.5 -155. And, of course, I'm taking the Bucs -3.5 in the first half, and that's at -120.
All right, some late weather information coming through. Bills announced weather forecast for today. Thunderstorms after 2 p.m. Potential for a half-inch of rain to fall during the game. So my under looking lively in that one. So we'll see how it turns out. Thank you guys for watching the show with us today. And I know a lot of you said, hey, make sure you give your plays out and wrap up before 1 minute before. So we've been good about that 2 straight weeks. So about 10 minutes ago, Kyle, good stuff. I'm ready for kickoff. I'm going to watch the Eagles and see how long I have to watch them for, but I will be cheering on points in this one and having some fun. But as you guys know, we will be back tomorrow once again, 4 p.m. for the opening line show right here on sportsbookreview.com. Look, we cap the games all week long. We have that one last party here from 12 to 1 o'clock. Then we get back to business tomorrow and get started on week 5. And yes, week 5 is already here, starting tomorrow in the NFL. Thanks again, guys, for choosing us today and watching and following along. Fantastic stuff. I'm Donnie RightSide along with the DFS Bachelor, Kyle Purviance. We are the sportsbookreview.com NFL team. And this was your Sunday show. And as always, good luck on those wagers.